Music Verse listeners. This is Beyond Your Radio Show. What's in Your Ear, episode number 3. Joining me tonight, Jeff Young from Florida, lovely Tampa, where they're mourning the death of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Below me, I think, is, from a standpoint of the three amigos, is Alex Kaluzny. Alex is sporting Toronto because he wishes them ill. So the Leafs are now 0-2 for those keeping track of the NHL playoffs. Our panelists that have been listening to all kinds of music this last couple of weeks, and we want to hear what albums have been in their headphones. Each show is completely unique and should really be an ear opener for any of our listeners. It's where our tastes are scattered to the winds. It's impossible to listen to everything. Boy, I do sure try.
You're halfway there.
So based on tonight's show, since we only have the three of us, we'll do 3 albums apiece. I know Jeff has his own presentation, so we're going to go in the order of Alex, and then Jeff, and then myself. So I want to make one point clear. I did fix the YouTube click on our website, thanks to Alex, who told me it wasn't working. It was sending people to Instagram. You won't find any video there. Just to make everyone aware, due to copyright and demonetization problems with YouTube, we will not attempt to play any song from any catalog. I don't need to be blocked, copyright infringed, sworn at, or whatever. So listen, if you, the band, is out there and you're like, God damn, I wish they would have played a song. Hey, text me, tweet me. I don't care. Find a way to reach me. You can be on. You can play your whole album from start to finish. I don't care about being demonetized.
Impossible ring to this. The call me, beat me. If you want to reach me, we can pull that one off.
Yes. So without further ado, let's move on to getting to these albums that people have been listening to. Alex, you are first, my friend.
So first one up for me, I was going to go with my favorite of the Billy Talent albums, Billy Talent number 3. Now I know, Mark, you contested me a little bit on this one. You go 2. I'm a 3 guy on this one. First thing I always noted about this, I had a little bit of my hockey roots going back into this one. Turn Your Back was, we talk about this enough off camera. I'm a big soundtrack guy. It was on the NHL soundtrack, their duo with Anti-Flag. That kind of goes with the theme to this album. So I noticed beyond just the initial 11 tracks, US Digital Special Edition added 3 B-sides. There's a German edition bonus track that goes to this album as well, and a special Guitar Villain edition second CD with 4 more tracks that go to this album. So I only knew the original, but in my back work looking into this, you have 4 extensions onto it musically. Some of them are the Guitar Villain bonus tracks, I believe, are 4 demos. The German edition bonus track is an original track added on. And then the special editions being 2 B-sides and a demo. So I got to look back into that because I wanted to kind of see what I was missing with this album and found all of that extra. Plus Turn Your Back having 2 different versions with Billy Talent and with the one with Anti-Flag. So that's what tipped me off to the album. But top to bottom, it was a 5-single album. But I know for the depth of this album, it had a really good undertone all throughout. Very high tempo band. That's something that's always been my forte, is songs that kind of stay on a consistent high level, not typically very slow. From Devil on My Shoulder, Rusted from the Rain has really good pickup throughout it. Saint Veronica's a favorite of mine as well. And pretty much kind of going on the singles here that got me into the album, but the depth from it in general. Pocket Full of Dreams, one of the non-singles, another favorite of mine as well. But obviously getting me into it, Turn Your Back is probably the highlight of it. So Billy Talent, Canadian band. What I thought was an interesting parallel to this was the album won a Juno Award for Best Rock Album of the Year in 2010. However, Metacritic, I don't know what scale that they rate this on, rated it a 45 out of 100. So you go from Juno Awards to mixed to average reviews, just based on the handful of
So
critics.
I'll give you a quick background on Metacritic. Metacritic allows the scale from across the different platforms. Money, it may be, but what I find is it's like Yelp, right?
Okay.
People love to complain. I honestly, they're a punk band, right? But by definition, maybe post punk.
They have the punk undertones, but it still just fits rock for me. Like
Let's just call it what it is, right? Because I love to do things like this, right? So I call them the Canadian Green Day.
Yeah,
They are heavier, though.
Yeah, or even like Offspring. Even
Well,
Offspring.
Offspring, yeah, Canadian Offspring. I like that.
but look at the album
I can
cover
live with
too
it.
behind Mark right now, and I would say that that's very Green Day-esque right there alone.
Yeah. They have not done a rock opera yet, but they could possibly do it. Jeff, you and I saw them live. I thought it was a great show. They a lot of they bring
Which one? Green Day or Billy Talent?
Billy Talent.
Yep. I think I've seen them twice.
I haven't
All right.
seen them ever come around Buffalo either.
It was the town ballroom. I think was that the year of Jeff that we went to see it? It's an inside joke. We'll let it go then. Jeff, you're up next.
Oh, yeah, let me do my screen here.
Taking over the screen.
Oh, I gotta select. Hold on.
I'm just excited to get to see Jeff Martin on screen.
He is a handsome man.
Well, and it's just one more Jeff that we can add to the Beyond Your Radio.
Oh, that's right. Jeez, too many Jeff. The whole world is Jeff's.
Maybe if we tell him that, we can get him on the show. Hey, we have a lot of Jeffs. Do you want to come on and contribute and be like the seventh wheel?
We are not classy or sexy enough to be in the.
All right, can you see that?
part. Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can.
Go ahead.
So what I'm listening to lately, since I'm in the car all the time, because I drive a long way to work and I drive a long way to see my kids and I drive a long way to see my second job and I drive a long way back home, I listen to music. So I use like Pandora. So I've been listening to Tea Party Radio. So what is Tea Party Radio playing for me? So in the last 44 songs, this is kind of what I've been seeing. Tragically Hip, a little bit of Muse, Alice in Chains, Angry Chair, of course, Tea Party, right? It's Tea Party Radio.
Record.
Days the New,
I have
Nice.
not heard that.
Static X. And of course, I've been using this platform for a long time. So I've been hitting the thumbs up for like a couple years. A little bit of Big Wreck, actually.
Big
That's
Rex,
new.
solid.
System of a Down, Faith No More, of course, Tea Party again. Love this album. Deftones, Little Rage Against the Machine, Tool,
Yes.
Jane's Addiction, White Zombie, Velvet Revolver, Disturbed, more Big Wreck.
See, now I would put Velvet Revolver in that, but I thought they kind of got out of there with Jane's Addiction. I wouldn't put that with the Tea Party.
Yeah, it's based on my thumbs up too, so
Right.
thing too. So more Faith No More, Corn, more Zombie, Nine Inch Nails, Incubus,
Yes.
Tea Party again, Days of the New,
And
more Big Wreck, Alice in Chains again, Static X again, Chevelle, of course, Tea Party,
They're not even letting you thumbs up two of those songs a few back.
and then Monster Magnet, more Rage, Offspring, STP, more System of a Down, another Big Wreck, Our Lady Peace, Tool, Alice in Chains, and the last one is more Jane's Addiction. Now with this, I didn't hold on a second here.
Jane's Addiction's album covers are definitely something.
So the Tea Party Radio, there's 44 total songs. There's 25 artists, 12 songs that they gave me in those 44 were like Canadian bands. 4 Canadian bands, 12 songs, 27%. And then of the 13 artists, 13 artists had only one song, 8 artists had 2 songs, 2 had 3, and the rest, 1 had 4, 1 had 5. Now, Tea Party was not the one that had 5. It was actually Big Wreck. I got to hear more than
what I
actual
was
Tea
saying, I
Party.
was going to tell you, Big Record.
Yeah.
Interesting breakdown of Pandora. I never thought of breaking it down like this.
So,
Well, Jeff's a
Yeah.
salesman for Pandora. Little did we know.
sometimes you get, that wasn't as eclectic as some of the trips I have, but anyway, that's what I've been listening to.
Definitely sums up the,
Will we be able to go back to you, or is that your? Are we right? Are we coming back to you?
I mean, that's everything. We can go back to it, but that's everything.
That's everything you did. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I kind of misunderstood how you were doing
It's
that.
fine.
All right. But okay. So on that note, Tea Party. Obviously, most people who are on this or watching this probably know who they are. So tell them your attachment and why that's your choice for this particular.
I don't know. It's just that first album, like Splendor Solace. Just everyone compared it to like the Doors, but I just thought of it as its own. It's just good and different.
Yeah.
And every album past that is slightly different, but just as good.
So I remember the first day that I heard about them, it was probably 107, Q107, and they were talking about them, and they said somebody from Rolling Stone or somebody who had seen them made a note that said, I saw this band in Los Angeles, and I think it was Los Angeles. I should clarify that, but he said, I saw this band, they're called the Tea Party, and he said, it's like the Doors on acid. And then he went, well, wait a minute, the Doors were on acid, so I guess that's not a good description. But for a good description of what they are, Jeff Martin is Jim Morrison reincarnated. He has that delivery, that look, that mystique, and the only difference with him is he can play the hell out of a guitar. He might be one of the most underrated lead singers in rock today. Anybody, I dare you to.
He plays several instruments, like those Middle Eastern things. And
Middle Eastern stuff, sitar. I remember when you and I first saw them at September's. Yeah, it's all dark and they're lighting candles or whatever candles are lit on stage, and he comes out and he goes, geez, by the looks of things, we're gonna do some Black Sabbath tonight. I'm thinking, oh shit, if we're gonna do that, that'd be cool. But I don't think he did a Black Sabbath song, but he had people out instruments I couldn't ascertain what they were.
And being much younger than you guys and not having had.
Oh, thanks. Rub that in our face. You're on the show.
My last name, don't wear it out.
I maybe not have had as many opportunities as you guys to see them. I have had an opportunity to see them, but just going back into my foray of growing up around the same time that these guys got popular, the first facts I initially pulled out of the Tea Party were, I'm pulling this up here off some of my notes, is Martin having perfect pitch as highlighted by the science of a rock concert on an episode of Daily Planet on Discovery Channel Canada. And going to how good his vocals are, I would say that's pretty much spot on with what I've always viewed him as and his range that he's able to pull. And then I was actually having a fun discussion today with somebody in my life that I was saying my favorite Tea Party songs in order and kind of going off of it. Writings on the Wall, Temptation, Sister Awake, The Bazaar, Fire in the Head, Heaven Coming Down. And the last fact I learned on Paint It Black was their flip of using an electric guitar instead of a sitar on it. So for our viewers who have not heard the Tea Party, that's what you have to look forward to, and that's your intro into them.
July 17th and 18th in Buffalo.
They
Wait a minute, I'm
play here
gonna
a lot,
get down because I need to go see that.
even though he lives in Australia.
Town Ballroom.
Yeah,
2 shows back to
they'll
back.
be sold out in minutes. Always. So yeah, I
Yeah, but here's the deal. If you go to the Town Ballroom and you wait outside, one of the bouncers will eventually give you a ticket to go in and he'll charge you like cash.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm bringing like $70 and staying outside then and waiting for the
I would say that if you like YouTube, look up Jeff Martin, and look up Sun's Going Down.
Hell yeah.
And he does a live acoustic or a live version from his house during the pandemic for his father.
I was about to say, I think this is the one you showed me.
Yeah, it was his dad's birthday, and he did Sun's Going Down and something.
Did we watch this at your house?
Yeah.
Didn't they come, Mark, didn't they come to Lockport for that
Yes.
Molson series?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's where I saw them.
Yeah, you were probably there at the same show.
No shit.
Yeah, because that's the show I took my 5-year-old, and we met Jeff Martin. So quick story, just for so we're sitting there and at dinner, and my brother-in-law knew the mayor because he married his daughter, and he called me with Mark. Do you want to meet the band? And I was with Lauren having dinner because we're going to the show, and she likes the Tea Party. Yeah, 5-year-old, so Daddy's got some explaining to do. So I go, Lauren, do you want to meet the band? I didn't care one way or the other, right? So she says, yeah. So we haul butt down to the theater in Lockport, which is called the Palace, and that's where the band is doing the meet and greet because the show is behind the Palace in a parking lot. And she got to meet the band, and I remember Martin saying, "How old are you?" Right, and 5 years old. Stuart chat was, "Well, what song do you want to hear?" And she says, "Underground." And he goes, "Holy shit! Oh, I wrote that song." So he's holy shit! I shouldn't have said holy shit. And then he looks at us and he goes, "That's it, side of the stage." So we were on the side of the stage at the start of the show, getting ready, and Lauren just went, "I don't want to be here, Dad. I don't want to be here." And I'm thinking, well, she's freaking out. She wasn't. She wanted to be in the front row. So I got my 5-year-old with front row with no headphones.
Sounds like Lauren.
Probably explains the right. So anyway, all right. So my
That's a proud dad moment right there.
Hey, listen. All I told her is don't tell your mom. So the first thing she goes, "We're in the front row. It was awesome." So anyway, so you can't see this because of the cover of the album and how it is. So I am going to go with and let you know that this week, I mean, I've listened to a ton of records, obviously, and all kinds of things, but I decided to categorize this show into wordless. Okay, none of the albums I have. Well, there is some moments in the last one, but anyway. So this is Billy Cobham. He is a drummer, and generally, drummers don't get this. I don't know. They just don't get the love, right? Maybe Don Henley, Phil Collins, because they were front men, and that kind of thing. There's probably others I'm not thinking of that'll be offended by this, but whatever. So this album is called Crosswinds, and it's from 1976. Am I right? Let me make sure I'm not out of my mind. No, 74. This was brought to my attention by another YouTuber who I kind of like. Weeks ago, he was regarding one of his favorite jazz records, and I think it's slightly because of the time it was showed in him, and he is a drummer in a band. And I think I don't really go for drummers that often. Like I think about them, like the only ones that I kind of grab, I mentioned those guys, right? The frontmen, but Stanton Moore from Galactic, it's a New Orleans band, Ginger Baker, and Steve Gadd. So this is jazz done so much around Billy's incredible playing, his brilliant accompaniment from exceptional players, realizing that the Spanish vibe of this, and there's a mid-tempo, slow-tempo kind of design pieces around it. It is completely engaging, and but it fits the time, but it also has a modern feel to it. Again, this is a jazz record. It only has a few songs, but the songs are obviously elongated, and then there's a lot of improvisation that was probably part of the pieces. So my first album is Billy Cobham, and it's Crosswind from 1970. Back to Alex.
So if I told you that an album had 15 producers, how long do you think that album is?
Well, in today's world, probably about 25 minutes.
And you're pretty much spot on. So my next album is Jack Harlow's Jackman, and I was eagerly anticipating this because I love his lyrical writing in other albums. 24 minutes, and I was sorely disappointed by that.
Weezer's piss.
The content of the album actually wasn't that bad. I for the most part, especially his song that I guarantee you will not become a single just because of the content base of it.
There's an explicit on this record quite a bit.
So with Gang Gang Gang, I thought it was interesting. I was telling Mark this in a pre-call of this show. He talks about all these things that his friends, he's grown up, he's known them, he's known their backgrounds, he's known his side of their character, all the things that they have gone through, that have led them down a path that is unlike what he's known them as, and he can't have their back. I thought it was a really well-written song that kind of got snuck into this album. But again, I'm looking for, with how good his lyrics are, and I'm not even talking in the rap and the hip hop side of things, the beats and the sound, which are a lot of the reason I get into things. He's someone I could listen to his lyrics and what he writes, and I was just really left wanting more out of his album. It's got good content, but it just is missing quantity. And that's one of the few times I'll ever say that the quality did not make up for how much I just keep wanting to hear more and more of this. So overall, pretty good album for me, just not long enough. You feel like you're done with it in too short of a time, but it's a brand new album that just came out. So that was I've been listening to this week.
Yeah, it was last Friday, right?
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, it just leaves me disappointed. We talked about the theme of nowadays how things are too short. I say it's 24 minutes. It's only a 10-track album. Yeah, these are 2.5-minute songs. Like nowadays, I know things are quick and it's very single based, but at least hitting 3.5, 4 minutes makes a difference. And he's a guy
there
that
a flow
I
to the record? Is it thematic at all, or is it just
not really? No, it's just his next one. And the thing for me too, like he's talented enough, and you know it from hearing his past work that he could have added more onto this. That you just feel like you could have. And when you see something that doesn't have as much quantity, you just you're like,
so. And
how quick have you done
on Friday was or whatever. I can't listen to all releases, but I saw that release. But what I did is I went and I listened to NF instead.
Which, in all honesty, you made the better choice between the two. If I had to guess, I would have said NF is the better grab on this. He's another one that's lyrically very good and very thematic. Yeah, you didn't miss much with this one. You can listen to it for the track I mentioned at the beginning. That's track number 5, but you're not missing out if you have to choose between another album and this. This is a skip over for me if you wanted to, unless you're like me and you're a fan of them and you'll just throw them in your library just because.
Yeah, the NF record, he does some things on that record he's never done. Not that he's
which is saying a lot for him.
Say again?
Which is saying a lot for him.
Well, there are parts of this that it's not hip hop or rap. It's actually vocalization pop rock, and I thought he pulled it off. It was something different. It's obviously the record that I was drawn into, the first one. He sounds like Eminem. There's no question. He has, but he's cleaner than Eminem, and more
Absolutely.
and a little bit more straightforward, clean cut. The songs are not meant to offend. They are meant to teach and give you a position in life. So anyway, Jeff, should I just keep going with me?
I will say one thing else that I've been listening to just in the past week or so. I've been going back, like 2 weeks ago, Metallica was on Jimmy Kimmel like every night. So I've just been going back and watching those performances. They're all good. They always seem to sound good on TV. I don't know, but they did some old and some new, but so I've been watching some of the Metallica, which yeah, obviously a couple of new songs, but some of the old things like Holier Than Thou and Master of Puppets, things like that, they were playing too.
So I know the Master of Puppets one, that one went big on you. You can see that constantly. What else did they do? I said that I saw them on there, and Master of Puppets was a big sell one. That one got lots of hits. What else did they do though? Don't worry about the new stuff. What did they do?
They did Holier Than Thou, and I think I don't think what the other one was. No, I can't remember. No, I didn't listen. No, I just think of it as I was sitting here. I have to look it up.
It would have been really cool if Metallica did with Kimmel, like the Foo Fighters did with their Live on Letterman series. So I don't know if you've ever seen this. If you look up damn near just about any Foo Fighters song from I think they had some from Wasting Light on there. So around that era, if they did a series live on Letterman that I assume was tied into Dave Letterman, I'd have to think, or at least in that studio where they kind of dressed like the Beatles when they did did it out of the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah.
But it was a bunch of live performances of them in suits in that setting, and they just cranked out songs that if I any given day am feeling a Foo Fighters song and I toss in like Foo Fighters blank and blank, like I'm a big White Limo fan, underrated song of the Foo Fighters. They did that performance live, and that's one that I don't think they even do in concert often. So for me, if you have a chance, I would recommend going back and looking at the Foo Fighters live on Letterman series. Would have been really cool if Metallica did something like that with Kimmel though.
Yeah, the other one they did was For Whom the Bell Tolls. That's the one they did.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay. I would have hoped Enter Sandman.
I think they played the hell out of that song. You know what I mean? It's like it's their Pour Some Sugar on.
That riff will never get old though. That opening too.
There's a good video I saw on YouTube from Howard Stern where he talks about how he got that riff.
Yes, I saw that same video.
Yeah.
That was a good one too.
So my next one, in keeping with the idea of, you know, no vocal in music, that this week, this is the Chopin Project by Olafur Arnalds and Alice Sarah Ott. Olafur Arnalds is an Icelandic electronic musician and composer who's done motion picture soundtracks all over the place. He is a masterful composition individual. He's done great things. He paired himself with a pianist called Alice Sarah Ott. When I didn't really first hear the record. What I saw was a blip on somebody's chat that said, "I've heard the future of classical music, and if this is it, it's going to get really cool." And I'm thinking to myself, classical music has always been stuck in this rut, even though it is the beginning of all. Without Bach, without, there's just none of this happening. Right? So he takes Chopin waltzes that inspired the project, but what he winds up doing is he taking those piano compositions plus original composition by Arnold's himself, and then he's adding atmospheric stuff inside of it and around it, and that ambient and an intensely close mic to Alice Sarah Ott's piano has just blown this up. It is by far, for me, one of my favorite classical albums in my collection. It swoons, it envelops the ear's soul, and gives you Chopin in a soundscape that goes way beyond your radio and any version you've ever heard. Now, last year, my number one record was actually a classical record, not played in a class. It played in a classical motif, but done by somebody who's also adding stuff. So classical music, there's probably no better time to get into it than now. The only problem is it's an expensive habit. Classical CDs don't go for $8 and $9. Brand new ones go for $18, $19 starting. But my second pick is the Chopin Project by Olafur Arnalds and Alice Sarah Ott. Alex.
So I cheated a little bit on this one. And we're going to go not just something that's been in my ear as a CD, but something that I could literally pop into my PlayStation and play this as a live concert DVD anytime. And I have the physical copy right here in front of us. It is The Killers live at Royal Albert Hall. So I will guiltily admit to my cousin, thank you for playing this at every family function for 10 plus years, because you've gotten me so hooked on watching this in a shit mood, in a great mood, in a mood where I want to literally sing in my basement with no one around down here. This is one of my all-time favorites. Actually, when you buy this, it comes with a live CD to go with it on top of the DVD. So I know we're running through, I think this goes through a lot of the Killers catalog up through probably Samstown.
Day of age. Day and age.
So day and age, at least going up through that. Really good. Not just talking about the music set list to this, being that it's pretty much a compilation at that point, but hearing their interaction with the crowd, their dialogue between songs. Like, I was always a personal fan of Nirvana's Unplugged set because of the dialogue that they had between themselves as a band. But seeing these guys and the way that they interact with the crowd, as a Killers listener, I think hearing them on the radio and hearing single songs for me was just kind of a shoulder shrug. And yeah, this is good. This is the DVD that turned me fully into a Killers fan. Hearing the passion, hearing how they connected with an audience and how they performed this. So for those of our listeners that don't know, I'm a hockey coach by trade. But something I've always done on my travels, I always kind of mentally float back, and especially when I flew to Vegas as part of my job to do some recruiting, there's a moment in this DVD where Brandon Flowers says, talking about a prelude to when he plays Samstown, that he hopes everyone has their own version of Samstown, a place you can go to, whether it's a spiritual home or a physical home, any place that brings the better for you. For them, that's where they're from, and that's what the song's about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every time I've either, in the 2 times since that day, flown into Vegas, and every time I've ever returned home from wherever I was coaching, Samstown by the Killers has been on the playlist because it mentally puts me in that moment where I want to be home. And that's, again, something I wouldn't have without this. So for anyone that's a concert DVD nerd and wants to get a little bit of CD action in, could not recommend a better one. The Killers live at Royal Albert Hall from 2009.
Oh,
Killers
I'm
are
gonna
good.
end this on a banger. So the band
Is that album
named,
art?
yeah, it's a crazy album cover. It does not have the band's name on it at all. All it is a nightmarish, kind of ghoulish, zombie-looking, devilish cover, and it is the Night Parade of 100 Demons, done by the band Earthless. Now, Earthless is a stoner, rock, sludge, metal, progressive rock band. Where does the progressive fit in? There's only 3 songs on this record. It's an hour long. An hour and 1 minute. Get your guitar workout on with these gentlemen of the heavy, heavy lifting, riffing. It is a progressive rock metal? Sure. Is it heavy rock blues? Damn sure. Is it one of the 22's coolest closet records that no one knew about? Fucking sure it is. If they come to your town, you better go see them, because I'm telling you right now, you'll be surprised what one song that might be 20 some minutes will do in that time frame. These guys let it rip, riff, rock, intensify, letting the music feel the story. It's sonically wailing at you from every level. They've got drums galore, and you take you through progressions through each song. When I was shown this, I just couldn't believe how, I just listened to the first 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay. Now I just told you all this, and now you're expecting to be wailed in the face the minute you put this on, right? No. This is a build. They bring in and they say, here's a little atmosphere. Here's a little melodic slowness. Here's some soft blues guitar riff. And we're hanging out with a little solo. And there's a little wind in the background. And oh man, it's proggy. It's proggy. And then that's over. Everything begins and the nightmare continues. This 100 Demons comes in like a bat out of hell. And this record's relentless at its points. This is what they do. They're not a band with vocal arrangements that often. If I can remember, there were any vocals, it was some sort of moaning and groaning, I'm pretty sure. So either that or I didn't hear what was being said. They have a few records. I would recommend them all to anybody who likes this material. I do like it when rock bands don't sing, when they bring the fury. There's a couple of times where if you listen to the new Metallica record, and don't get me wrong, I love lyrical lines from Hatfield and how he delivers them even in live shows and performances. But sometimes when the band is just playing, you're like, God damn, they're really good. They are really good, especially in the symphonic stage of Metallica. So there's a lot to be said for the bands that just love to jam, and they certainly love to do that. And there's other bands out there that do this. Any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, first off, how often do they play live and where? I don't know if you've looked it up, their tour dates and stuff.
I know that they have just played recently in New York a while back. They were here, not in this area, but they were down in the middle, downstate New York.
Because my next question is, I'm shit at math, so we're just gonna call that for what it is. 3 songs in an hour and a minute. How much stamina do you have to play a 25 to 30-minute song?
Ask Buckethead.
Yeah, that's
Wild, but that's something I think aside for the common listener of this show, when you factor in that you got to play a song for 20, 25 minutes and you're not thinking a break because your track is that long. Now, granted, I don't know if they're all evenly split or one's longer.
No, this isn't an even split.
But
I'm just trying to think.
There's an element of appreciation in the fact that you got to go that long, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny how case of the olds, right? There is a band I listened to, and I can't remember it, but they did a live recording for their album, and they just turned it on, and they played, and they didn't have what they were going to do. They just played together, and I can't think of who it is. I will, one of these days I'll remember it for the show. I'll find it. But it was crazy. And I didn't, when you listen to the record, you kind of just go, wow, oh, wow, wow, wow. And then you get the backstory that they just played. They didn't have a written thing. They didn't know what they were going to do. They just got together and this is what they came up with. And it blew my mind. I go, how do you do that? How do you just get together and go, oh, let's just jam, see how it goes? There's not even a point in the CD where you can feel that they cut it. They said, oh, well, we got to move that.
It just kind of meshes together.
Yeah. They just play.
I would hate starting I'd hate starting track 2 when track 1 is, you don't know the difference, but.
Yeah. You guys are talking about live music, and one thing about things I've been listening to lately, it's like, maybe not in the last few days, but in the last few weeks, I've been to a few shows. And so that always pushes you to listen to some of that music, right? So I went to see the newer version of Skid Row. I saw Nothing More. And,
Nothing More is phenomenal.
Skinny Puppy. That was more of a bucket list show than anything else.
Another guy rubbing it in my face. Damn it.
And, what was the other one I saw?
I saw Nothing More at a festival, and they were phenomenal there. They stole the entire festival off the side stage.
Yeah, they were definitely good. I'm trying to think of the other one I saw. It was Cold.
Cold. And you were telling me you couldn't believe the age of people that were there.
Yeah, it was a lot of younger kids, and they knew all the words to all the songs, like more than I did.
Yeah, I have every record, and I don't.
Band's 30 years old.
Yeah, like I said, it had to be on some video game or something because,
One thing weird about Skinny Puppy is the lead vocalist was at first wearing just like, looked like Cousin Ed. It was like all black, like garb, and then finally took something off, and then he was wearing like this alien mask with bright glowing eyes. But
well, they're trying to make up for the original singer who died.
Well, it's not Slipknot, at least.
I tell you what, a Skinny Puppy show back in the early '80s, Jeff, probably. I never got to go, and I love that band. And
I gotta say, the show was a bit boring to me. I expected way more.
Yeah.
The one show I wanted to go to in Orlando that I didn't get to because I had kid things to do, but Static X was just in Orlando, but they didn't come to Tampa.
Oh,
I've seen them.
But they'll eventually be here. Everyone eventually comes to Tampa. So
with Wayne, that was.
Yeah, I was with you. Me, you, and Dan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was.
I feel like I hate being younger than you guys. Now I feel like I missed out on so many good show opportunities to go with you guys. If only I was 20 years older.
I tell you what, I couldn't do it today in this day and age. It's too expensive.
The one summer I made it a point that I said I was going to go to a Tragically Hip concert was the year Gord Downey gets announced that he has cancer. I'm like, son of a, like, the one time I finally made a concerted effort to go see people, and that's what happens to me. So
If they ever decided to do like a tour, even in honor of him, who would they get to sing?
I don't know who you get for that.
There's only been one person who's sang in this place so far.
Who?
You know who that is?
I do not. That's why I asked.
Not a male.
Really?
I just reviewed her album. Twice.
I didn't know they've had anyone singing Gord's Place, let alone
Yes,
a female.
she joined them for "It's a Good Life If You Don't Weekend" during the Juno Awards because they were getting some award. I presented something. It was the only time that they have played together with a singer in his spot, and it was her. She did it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's a good performance.
I don't think this would work, but it was the first place my mind went. Is I'd love to hear Dallas Green from City and Color.
Well, obviously Dallas Green has covered
these
songs, and I mean, obviously Our Lady Peace has, our Kells have, the Trues have, Pearl Jam has.
Pearl Jam has. I want to hear that.
I didn't get to hear it, but
I'd love to hear Eddie Vedder do Gord Downey.
I don't know who they. I don't believe that they would do that. That's a story for another episode. Like, we could do an episode of just who we think would be cool to be in that spot. I wouldn't want to be in that spot. That he's a legend. Beyond.
I think it's interesting just because with his range, his ability to scream, his ability to sing, his ability to be a poet, I think to encompass all three is a unique trifecta that you really have to balance lightly.
I want to thank my panelists for participating in our third episode of What's in Your Ear. Hopefully it exposed some new music for those of you watching. We'll do this again in 2 weeks with our panelists again, with more albums and selections from their listening playlist. We're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. And like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear what you're listening to. You can put in the comments. Listen, I don't listen to albums from a vacuum. Other people suggest things, and I go out and listen to them. So do my panelists. Music Bites will be out tomorrow. Jeff Johnson, Chef Jeff, has put together another appetizer, dinner, and dessert. Now, give you a little hint here. He says to me, he goes, "Mark, you'll never guess who I'm doing it to." And I go, "You're doing it to Eat a Peach" by the Allman Brothers. He goes, "You son of a..." I go, "You're predictable." But I saw the menu, saw the pictures. It looks fantastic. A lot there. Album review Saturday this weekend and Unknown Sunday. Happy listening, everyone.